Someone commented recently and said, "What are your TVDU Twitch rankings?" Right? You feel me? Top 10. Give me a top 10. You dig me? And I was about to make. I had like this is my second time recording. You feel me? I had made like one video and it was like 6 seconds long, and I had to think about the list because I didn't have the list ready. And then I was making my list. You feel me? Before I put the camera on, I was making my list for like a cool 10 minutes, and I was just sitting here and I was thinking like, okay, I have a popular, right? Well, not a popular, but I have like a list of my favorite characters that were witches, and then I have a list that are just like strictly off power, so to speak. But even that list was hard to make. You know what I mean? Towards the end, but I'm gonna. Here we go, gang. You dig me? Here we go. Right, so let's go through my favorites, right? Okay, so for this list right here, we're going through 11 and we're going to 1, right? So I'm going like backwards because I have the list, you feel me? I'm going backwards to the front, you feel me? And these are just like my favorites. These are not like, oh my gosh, yeah, the strongest, da 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 da, you feel me? These are just like from least favorite to favorite, I guess. Yeah, I guess we could say that. Yeah, I guess we could say that. Okay, cool. So we have at 11, we have Bonnie. And there's really nothing to really say about that. You feel me? We have 11 at Bonnie. You feel me? And then we got 10 at Freya. You feel me? I feel. Oh wait. Then again, like Bonnie. Let's talk about them all. You feel me? Bonnie at 11. This list has some heavy hitters on it for me because I have like there's very specific reasons why I choose a lot of these people. I'm not gonna lie. But when it comes to Bonnie being at 11, I don't know. I feel like I had to put her on the list. You feel me? Because she was in TVD for so long, so I just had to put her on the list. You dig me? But I never like. There's not a power that she has had or she has displayed that I was like, oh my god, that's actually insane. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, there was this one moment when Elena was sucking her, like trying to bite her, and then she actually healed up like 3 seconds later, like on some real quick vampire type healing. That was tough. That was tough. There's the one when she was stoning Silas, right? Oh, she also brought a lot of people back from the dead, but like anybody can mess with death. You feel me? If you just know how to like maneuver, to be honest. Anyways, Freya is like 10. Freya's at my 10. You feel me? Freya's at my 10. And why? Not because she's like cooler than Bonnie, right? But it's because she utilizes her witch powers. Like being a witch is naturally ingrained inside of her. I feel like Bonnie was a character before she was a witch, right? So she would like do spells and stuff like that on the side, but I feel like she was genuinely a character. Like she was, yay, I'm a character and I have feelings and I have relationships and I have emotions and da 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 da. You feel me? She wasn't like, but when you look at Freya, when you look at someone like Freya, the way that this woman like portrayed the character, right? It fused the witch with the being, right? You feel me? Of course, you're like her being is like her species is being a witch, but it's like she fused being a witch into her natural everyday bip. You know what I mean? Just like how Klaus was like just naturally, okay, I'm talking to you, but now I got you like this. Now you're like up off the ground 2 seconds later. You feel me? I feel like Freya fused being a witch with her like with her natural bip. So what I mean by that is I feel like she utilized her powers, her witch powers, to the highest degree. Like there wasn't a like genuinely there was a lot of moments where there wasn't like any call for doing witch things, and yet Freya would do witch things. You feel me? Like just randomly. You feel me? That's what I'm talking about. Like she fully utilized her witchness to the highest degree. That's why I got her at 10, and she's not even that high to be honest. She's just in 10. Anyways, Alyssa Chang. You feel me? For a lot of people don't even know Alyssa Chang. A lot of people don't even like. They're like, what do you mean Alyssa Chang? What do you mean Alyssa Chang? In your top 10, Alyssa Chang. Me personally, I mess with her. I mess with her origin story, right? I think she comes into. I think she pulls up at Legacies or just at the Salvatore boarding school for the gifted and magical, the magical and gifted, the young gifted and magical, the something like that. Anyways, she pulled up at the Salvatore boarding school at like 9 or 10 years old, right? And she had burned down her house. I think with her parents inside of it or her adoptive parents inside of it. I don't know, something like that. But her backstory is something crazy, like a Nadu type crazy. You feel me? Like it really get like that. Like she got a tough backstory. She just what you mean you burned down a hole? You dig me? At like a young age, at like 7 years old. You feel me? That's crazy. But that's why I like Alyssa Chang, and I feel like she is gonna be like. I feel like if we got more seasons, she would have utilized her witchness very like she just seems like the smart witch type, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna say how it is. That's all. Like she seemed like a Freya type of person to where if we got more screen time, she would have just been using her wishness, like really sly and crafty and da 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 stuff like that, which we see sometimes in the show Legacies. So that's why I like Alyssa Chain. She's at my number 8. She's at my number 9 spot. At my number 8 spot, we have Ariane. Ariana, what are you doing here, Ariana? All right. We have Ariana, right? And or Ariane or Ariana, I don't know. But we have. I'm gonna say Ariana, right? And it's gonna be so wrong the entire video, but I don't care, right? We have Ariana, right? And she's the like you never see the originals. People see the originals more than Vampire Diaries these days, but she's the blonde girl who was wearing the black cloak who Elijah killed after she went and saw his memories, right? Of course, you still probably don't know this, or maybe you do. Maybe you've recently seen the originals. I don't know, but yeah. So she was like, "Oh my God, you've come to kill me," right? And then he kills her. You feel me? Because she saw his darkest, deepest secrets, right? She's that girl. To me, she was just like really powerful. To me, she was like really tough as a witch. And mind you, she only had like maybe a couple feats, right? But to me, she was that girl for sure. And she was a part of the Strix. And she was young. She should be a part of the Strix. While a part of the Strix, you feel me? She's tough. That's why I put her at number 8. At number 7, I have Maddox. As soon as he stepped on the scene, Klaus steps on the scene in season 2. And Maddox step on the season, the step on the scene in season 2, right? And it's just the most glorious thing in the world, right? Because it's like Klaus is a super powerful person, but he also has somebody from a different species who is very powerful. You dig me? Who know their stuff. When I say powerful, I don't just mean like brute strength. Feel me? I mean like real deal intellect and the ability to traverse your own witchcraft effortlessly. You dig me? So when I say Maddox, when he made up that plan, right? He was like, "Hey, I can protect you for sure." You feel me? The witch is gonna be the problem. Like, this witch is gonna be an issue. Maddox was like, "I got you. Don't even worry about it. I'll just protect you." You dig me? Genuinely. I cast this protection charm, practice protection spell onto this new body of yours, right? Mind you, I already put your hybrid spirit inside of a human for all intended purposes, right? And then you, oh man, whatever. But now I'm gonna have a protection spell on you as well. So now you're just like it's gonna be hard to just kill you in general. The body itself is gonna break down and like die, but your spirit's gonna be perfectly fine. You know what I mean? That's tough. That's tough, man. Maddox was so tough to me. Like like just the way he moved when he showed up in season 2 was tough for sure. That's why he's at number 7. I know this list seems ridiculous, right? But it's like my favorite witches to see type of list. You feel me? And what's funny is I'm gonna get through the list, but then I'm gonna miss somebody. I'm gonna miss somebody else. Wait for a second. Wendy, right? For a lot of people, they don't even know Wendy, but Wendy's from Legacies. It was Jade, it was Diego, and it was Wendy. My dog. Jade was the vampire. Rawr. Diego was the werewolf. Rawr. You feel me? Wendy was the witch, right? And she was very magically fire inclined, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And she spends like 10 years inside the prison world with Diego, Kai, and Jade, right? She just gets really good at being that fire person. I can just assume, to be honest, but she gets like really, 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 really. Actually, yeah, she does. She gets really good because at the beginning of the episode, she has like she loves doing this fire stuff, but she accidentally like burns people. You feel me? You feel me? And then gets stuck inside the prison world or gets punished to be inside the prison world. And then when we're talking about someone like, well, then we talk like 10 years later, right? We see her again, and she's completely, come here, Lord Saltzman, right? She's doing all that stuff. Hopefully, yeah, let me get like this close. Let me, you dig me? I don't want to like get all blurry with it. You feel me? I hate that. But yeah. So she gets really traversed in like her witchcraft. That's all I gotta say for those 10 years that she's been in the prison world. Who else is on this list? So mind you, she is number 6. Okay, number 5 we have Dahlia. We have Dahlia number 5. Yes. For me, she's like Dahlia just doing what she's working with what she got, right? You feel me? She's the first daughter of the first daughter of the first. She's the first daughter. Like she's one of like these bloodline type of people, right? Where like she's a first daughter, so she automatically be more powerful than like someone else. But then, like, let's say if like one of her siblings, right, or let's say if Esther has a daughter, then that daughter is going to be more powerful than Daya. And let's say if Freya has a daughter, that daughter is going to be, let's say Freya's sibling has a daughter, right? You feel me? Hope Michelson is going to be more powerful than Freya. You feel me? It just goes on and goes on and goes on. But she's one of those people. So she utilizes that. She mixes it with another first daughter. And then what's even funnier, this is crazy, right? But she says this is what makes her so evil, right? Mind you, she's doing this to her own family, right? Of course, her family left her to rot, right? But it's fine. What she does is, wait for a second. What she does is she says, I want every first child. I just now, like while making this video, I just now realized why she wanted every first child. Because every first child, whether it be daughter, boy, you feel me? That witch, you dig me, is going to come out stronger than the last. And guess what? Guess what she did to Freya? She channeled Freya to make her magic stronger. So what she was going to do? She was going to channel Hope. She was going to channel whoever else had a kid, and forever and ever and ever. That's the craziest thing in the world. Genuinely. But whatever. And you know what's funny about that? Is that means that, let's go deeper into this really quickly, but that means that this whole vampire stuff, wanting her children to be vampires all of a sudden, right, wasn't only just because Henrik died. It was literally, so if you're a vampire, you can't procreate, which means you can't take their children, because guess what? Vampires can't have kids. So this whole pushing, right, mind you, you feel me? Ayana declined her, right? Michael said, oh my gosh, please protect our babies, right? He thinks it's about, like, she cheated on him, all type of stuff. He doesn't know it. He thinks it's about protecting his children, da 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 da. He doesn't know that Daya took Freya. He believed that Freya died, right? In the plague. Died from sickness. Do you feel me? Esther is so just like slimy and just so like, like she's crazy, yo. But Esther is pushing for this, right? Just like Michael, right? Michael's pushing for it for a different reason, right? The surface level reason of Henrik dying, although that's very deeply in touched, right? Very deep, sensitive subject. But when it comes to Freya, or when it comes to Esther, right? Esther pushing this because, let's say her children do grow up and have kids, right? Guy's going to come back and take their kids. They're going to have to experience loss like Esther did with Freya. But for the rest of eternity, none of them can have kids. And if they do have kids, Daya will be back every single time. You feel me? So this is two different reasons. Now, mind you, I'm going super deep into the original's lore right here. For me, got to really lock in, got to clock it. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it? I know there's alternate agenda. Chill out, JP. Anyways, but yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, Daya, to me, like, I'm about to tell you all the feats, right? Daya, of course, is the first daughter, so that's tough. But then she wants to channel Freya because she sucks by herself. No, I'm just lying. She's cool by herself. She's cool. She's powerful by herself. But she channels Freya and becomes this whole different beast, right? Amplifier, right? And then she, of course, gains this phony immortality, right? Where she has to sleep for 99 years, but can only wake up 1 year. That means she spent, like, over the past 1,000 years, only 10 years awake. On average, right? On average, right? Outside of the years that she wasn't like an immortal, right? But Daya is also crafty. Daya is also like really crafty. Like the way that she approaches an opponent, right? She ensnares you in her gooey. And her gooey is crazy. She ensnares you in like her creative mind. She pushes the boundaries of witchcraft. You know what I mean? Well, traverses it really effortlessly. You know what I mean? So when I say that, I mean like her taking on Michael and Niklaus, right? Everyone knows that the witches are simply, period, point blank, there's no if, ands, or buts. They are simply the strongest beings to ever being, right? That's actually incorrect, but they are simply like more powerful than vampires, right? We can say like a regular witch versus like a Marcel wouldn't really do it justice, right? Wouldn't really, you feel me? But like, let's say you're like a witch and you somehow acquire some fake version of it, some Timu version of immortality, right? You can take on a Marcel if you want to. You feel me? You can find a way to reverse engineer whatever Marcel got going and really cook him up if you want to. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be very strenuous, but you can do it because Marcel's just a vampire, dog. You dig me? But yeah, Daya is very crafty. Daya is like the third smartest witch I've ever seen. Genuinely. Speaking from the heart, gang. When we're talking about, now we're going on to the fourth one, right? We're going to the fourth. The fourth one is Marcos, right? Now you're looking at me crazy. You're looking like, gosh, you're so stupid, and you're just so stupid, and you're just so. I know what you're talking about. All right, you believe that because Marcos had little screen time. Honestly, he didn't have that much little screen time, but he had little screen time, and he didn't have a lot of feats, right? That he's just some nobody, right? But Marcos is 1,500 years old. Marcos, if you see him go against someone like a Damon, right? His reaction time is impeccable. Mind you, he's just a witch. I feel like that needs to be stated, right? He's just a witch. He was in the Salvatore house and he was like this. Blase Skippy, Blase Skippy. He's looking at Damon and he's chilling and he's vibing and he's talking and he's doing stuff like this. And Damon's talking, da da da. And then Damon uses vamp speed. Mind you, Marcos is killable. You dig me? And he doesn't have this fake Timu version of immortality, right? But you feel me? Damon comes over and he's vamp speeds to Marcos. Mind you, Marcos is a witch. Marcos is, his reaction time better be top tier. He's just a witch. You dig me? Damon vamp speeds to Marcos and Marcos put him on his ass. Wham! You feel me? Real jiu-jitsu, judo. You feel me? What? Wham! One hand over the shoulder. Bow! Hello. Mind you, Damon was vamp speeding, not Marcos. Marcos' reaction time is that of a regular witch. Is that of a regular. You feel me? He's like, okay. But when Damon tried him, right? You feel me? He immediately, like somehow, some way, without being a sidekick, without, you feel me, having, let me get inside of his mind to like make it seem like I'm not there, da da. You feel me? Without the whole advantages of being a vampire, you feel me? Or the bite of being a wolf, right? He was able to sit Damon on his ass. You dig me? With just like his hands, gang. He was like, wham! Set him right down. But it's fine though. So what do you mean by that? What is that? Why does that make him so cool, right? What does that mean? Is that a feat? It's not a feat. That just means his reaction time is godly. You feel me? I ain't never seen no reaction time like that. Word. Real rap. But it's fine though. That just means to me that there's more to Marcos. We just didn't get to explore it. There's a lot of characters in TVDU that, okay, we touch on them. We touched on Kronos and Legacies, right? But we never seen Kronos. You feel me? And mind you, he's the god of time. He's da 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 da. He's da 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 da. You feel me? He was never in the sarcophagi. You feel me? But he never pops up. It's a lot, gang. It's a lot. He was never in the sarcophagi, but we never pops up in Legacies. Period. You feel me? Like it's a lot that goes on with that. I ain't gonna lie. Anyways, let's go to number 3. Enadu. Tough backstory, but it's not just because of her backstory. You feel me? She really gets down, right? She's really hard to kill. She's really she's really brilliant at possession magic. Very brilliant at possession magic. Very, very brilliant. Like Celeste, we thought Celeste was brilliant. You feel me? And Nadu, she tatted your soul so quick. Becomes Hope Michelson. Takes over this person. But it's not just like small creatures, right? We're taking over a cloud. We're getting into the minds and souls of Klaus, right? We're getting into the minds and souls of Marcel. We're getting into the minds and souls of Hope Michelson with ease, right? And so when we're doing that, right, these are not just baby people, right? These are like these are icons, you know what I mean, in the supernatural space, right? But we're getting into their soul with ease, right? And you can hide inside their soul because they're immortal and they could barely die already. So you can just stay inside their soul and torment them, you know what I mean, while they and just live through that way. You feel me? She is really good. She's really, really, really good at possession magic and very hard to kill. As far as like her like getting back onto the mortal plane and being in her own body, she's very brute force though. You feel me? So outside of possession magic and her craftiness and efficiency when it comes to witchcraft in the possession realm, she gets back onto the mortal plane in her own body, and she has to use a totem, right? You feel me? Dahlia uses Freya to amplify to get some Timu version of immortality, and Nado uses a totem, right? And then she bribes, so to speak, an original Cole, I believe, to protect this totem, right? If you protect this totem, maybe I'm pretty sure I have to do something with the Vina or bring it to the Vina back or something like that. I don't know. But if you protect this totem, you're going to be good, baby honey bun. You feel me? You just protect the totem. But yeah, she uses a totem and to stay alive, you know, to bound her immortality, her version of immortality, right? But she's hard to kill even without said totem, to be honest. So there's that. But it's fine though. We found a way eventually, quote unquote. Mind you, we don't know if it actually worked, but It was something like that. Yeah, we found a way, a little something like that. But as far as like smarts, I can never say that she's like overly intellectual, but she is like sneaky and evil and like you know what I mean? It's like bile, right? Vile, bile, foul. You know what I mean? And she used like brute strength, and it's nice that she uses brute strength because she cooks up. She be cooking people up. I mean, she giving people straight gas. I'm pretty sure there was this moment where she goes against Elijah. Well, she doesn't really like. I mean, I guess she goes against Elijah, and she give him straight gas, like bad, like Elijah died. Ugh. You dig me? But his soul got saved by Freya and put inside of a pendant, if I'm correct. Uh, I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. But yeah. She cooked Elijah immediately, like with ease. She's tough, bro. But it's just like brute force more than like brilliance up here. You know what I mean? So that's even crazier. You dig me? But the whole tying her immortality to like this totem situation, it's like it's like uh, uh. When it comes to the second most powerful witch on this list, going from my favorites to the least favorites, right? I would go to Ketsia. And why is that? Because she's a technical genius. What does that mean? Someone who is perfect, to be honest, at witchcraft. When we're talking about knowing what you're doing, right? When we're talking about there is no doubt, right? You feel me? She gets back onto the mortal plane and immediately she ties this mental connection between a doppelganger and Silas mentally. And she's like, okay, if I destroy this mental connection, he loses his psychic abilities. Theoretically. If Stefan loses his ability, like if Stefan loses his mind, right? Burns through the conscious, whatever. If he loses this, right? If I sever this link between him and his doppelganger, right? Then he shall lose his psychic ability. What's funny about, I guess Tom is a human, so he doesn't have, I guess Tom is a human, so it's like, I wonder if, clearly it's not, right? Clearly you don't need to sever the link between all doppelgangers and Silas, right? Or maybe she low-key did separate the link between all doppelgangers and Silas by only having to use one doppelganger to do so. But it's fine, though. I was going to bring up, like, this level of compulsion thing, but Stefan still remained human. You feel me? Even without his memories, you feel me? He was doing compulsion. And Silas couldn't, you feel me, do his psychic abilities. But yeah, Cassie is very intellectual. When I say technical genius, I feel like people take it lightly. When I say technical genius, I feel like people just say, what is that? Like, what does that do? What value is that to society? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean as far as like which power terms, right? But for me, I feel like being a technical genius means that you know everything about witchcraft. You know everything like you're extraordinarily traversed. When we're talking about a Dahlia and an Adu, and Adalia is relying heavily on dark magic. She's not like the god of witchcraft. You know what I mean? When talking about a Nado, she's relying on brute strength and her knowledge of possession only, right? Her knowledge of possession only, right? When we're talking about a Maddox, right? He's very like, oh my gosh, I'm so suave and I can do body protection spells. When we're talking about a Wendy, right? She's very fire inclined, right? When we're talking about Alyssa Chang, right? She's very like, okay, I want to learn more, but I'm just too young. You know, when we're talking about, and mind you, she's young, but whatever. Like as far as Ketsia, right? I will have to get so deep into that situation. Silas and Stefan look exactly alike. You feel me? Which means that Silas, to me, I'ma always say Silas was 17. I'm not gonna lie. I'ma say that all the time. Just because they look exactly alike, but in truth, he could have been like 20. You feel me? He could have been like an 18 or 19. Doesn't matter. You dig me? Or a 16, to be honest, right? But I'm going to say he's like 17, right? A 17-year-old, okay, cool. Ketsia, okay, cool. Let's say she's 17 too then. You feel me? So now they both 17. You dig me? So Ketsia that's like 17, who's a technical genius, right? Versus an Alyssa Chang who wants to know more knowledge and who's also like a 15, 16, 17-year-old, but doesn't know half the things that a Ketsia does, right? So that's the difference, right? The technical genius of Ketsia versus someone who wants to know more, but at this age doesn't know a fraction of what Ketsia knows. But anyways, when we're talking about a Bonnie, right? She's tough. She's had experience. She's a very experienced heavy witch. Oh, I'm in there. I'm going against all these people. Da 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 da. Freya, right? I have overwhelming power and I can utilize it. Period, point blank. You dig me? She's not a very like knowledge. Of course, we see so many scenes where she's expressing her knowledge for stuff, right? But she's not she's a very like, I have this knowledge, right? This basics of knowledge of witchcraft. Okay, that's cool. Like, I can do this. I can reverse engineer some stuff. I can do this, da da da. But I'm very like heavily reliant on my overwhelming ability because I'm a first child, right, of like Esther, right? So I can rely heavily on this to achieve at this. Not even to just achieve at this, but to like, I don't have to rely on my witchcraft knowledge as heavily, because I could like learn like the basics of the witchcraft knowledge and just rely heavily on my powers to achieve that joint like that. You feel me? That's why I feel like Freya is. But she like spews like the fact that she knows like the basis of witchcraft, right? The reverse engineering aspect and the linking and the channeling of it all. When we're talking about an Esther, right? She channels everybody. She's a channel demon. Marcos. We don't know too much about Marcos. I feel like he was actually intellectual when it comes to witchcraft, but he wasn't. No, I feel like he's one of those people who were like intellectual at witchcraft, but he just didn't have the right? He didn't have the genetic makeup of being like the top witch, right? You can be like a Marcos, but don't have the genetic capacity for witchcraft, the inclination, the genetic capacity for the maximum amount of power output for witchcraft, right? That's why I feel about Marcos, right? Intellectual, but just doesn't have that like a Ketsia does to like execute it to like the highest degree without like some help or something. Right? But anyways, so that's what I mean by technical genius. She is truly a legend. Period, point, through and through, gang, through and through. She's a legend. I don't know what else to say about Cat. Oh, let me see. When we're talking about blue flames, right? That blue flame situation is crazy and it's tough. And I feel as though, because Cade was from the Mediterranean, okay? And when I think of a psychic, I think of like this blue aura field, to be honest, but it's fine. Let me say something really quickly. When Anadu, look at this, when Anadu is introduced to us, right? She's introduced as a blue orb, right? Oh my gosh. It's so evil. It's just so evil. And every time she possesses someone, their eyes turn blue and da da da. Anadu's very source of magic, you feel me? Very like her very spirit is blue, like it's a blue orb, right? And mind you, as a living being, right, as a living witch, she was literally trying to suck up magical energy. That's her whole bip, right? That's her whole nutrients. It's every nutrient in her body is like, oh my gosh, let me suck up magical energy. You know? And I feel like that evilness, right? You feel me? Unfortunately, I feel like that evilness is what caused the blueness, right? You feel me? That evil intention, right? Mind you, it's her natural inclination. I have to get nutrients, right? But like all these, like the killing of all these people and destroying of all this and doing evil deeds and da da da. I feel like all that and that blueness. I feel like that blueness represents like the evil and the and the anguish and the da 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 and the. So when we see Ketsia and she's like, I have blue flame and da 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 da, and you feel me? I have revenge and anguish and sadness and my rage goes on for days. Once more through the fray, dear friends, right? When she's talking about all this stuff and she has blue flames, I feel like she taps into that evilness, right? The same way Anado's spirit became blue, I feel like her spirit, you feel me, can become this physical manifestation almost, or manifest itself through her magic in like this insane way of like, it's a direct tie. It's not like I feel like, let me say something really quickly. I feel like there's Bonnie, right? Let's use Bonnie for an example, or any witch, to be honest. But let's use Bonnie. And we can't even use Bonnie. Let's use Freya, right? Very powerful witch. But there's something right here. Maybe an incantation, maybe a spell that you have to verbally say. Maybe there's something right here that's separating her from this spirit situation, from a direct link to her, to the maximum output of her magic, right? You know what I mean? But I feel like when it comes to Ketsia, I don't know if you know what I mean. Okay, so say this is a random witch, right? Random witch right here. Okay, cool. Just normal power witch, right? Boom, boom. And then there's another layer over here. There's something in this middle that when they try to push, wham, let me tap into my powers. Wham. Okay, that's nice. Sometimes it pushes back. Boom. You feel me? Maybe the spirit, right? So a witch right here, this wall right here, and this spirit, right? Like the spirit, the embodiment of their power, of all their power, right? Let's say the witch is trying to push over here just to utilize their power, right? Usually they can do something like telekinesis or da 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 da. You feel me? Whoop whoop. You feel me? They're pushing, and sometimes the spirit pushes this way. You feel me? It pushes back. Wham, boom, right? I feel like when it comes to Ketsia, which is why she can tap into like blue flames so easily, right? I feel like when it comes to Ketsia, there is no wall. You dig me? So whatever type of insane magic she has this immediate, okay, point A to point B connection to said magic. Now, is her magic godly and overwhelming and all powerful? Who knows, to be honest? She creates blue flame, which is good for her. That's nice and dandy. But you feel me? That's why I feel like she's different from a lot of witches, because with a lot of witches like this, it's like the witch, it's the wall, and it's the spirit that you can like either it can go like this or it can push back. You feel me? You start bleeding from the nose or something. You feel me? But when it comes to Kessia, there's Kessia and there's no wall for real. And there's what's it called, the spirit that embodies all of her witchcraft, all of her magic, all of her you feel me, that orb. That orb. Now you feel me, like that, you feel me with whoop. So when she actually calls onto her magic, wham, it's like a direct link into the potency of her magic, you know? That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel that that's how I feel that she was able to tap into the blue flame. Because, and I've always had this inclination, or had this mental inclination, but I feel like all witchcraft comes from a place of emotion. It's very emotion based. Very emotion based. So when Anato's out here and she's young and she's out here committing evil, but she likes the evil, right? You feel me? I feel like that evil, the manifestation of that evil, like I said again, was like a blueness, a blue hue, right? A blue hue. But it was like this orb spirit situation. It was like very like bluish, you feel me? And when Cassie taps into her magic, or it taps into like this evil, like this revenge filled, this anger filled situation, it becomes blue. You dig me? It becomes blue flame. You feel me? And so I feel like this blueness that we constantly see, or we see like for like maybe 2 instances in the entire trilogy, is the direct source. You feel me? It's like one of the, like, genuinely like a direct source and to tie into, you feel me? This, it's like you're tapping into like your anger, the heaviest. You feel me? Like a witch can be having red flames, right? They're not tapping into their anger to its maximum potential because their emotions are not there. Their emotions are not, you dig me? But when you're like hurt that badly, right? Let's say she's hurt that badly. You feel me? Ketsia, she was so angry, she tapped into blue flames. And these blue flames it went from red to blue. Really in there. Get in there, right? The blue flames are boom. You feel me? The true witchcraft. This is like the good stuff. You know, the good stuff, right? When we're talking about Inado, it's the same way, right? Her spirit was so vile and so evil, right? And the emotions were so angry, right? I feel like truly, like I said, because, and why do you think that anger and emotions like that can like, why do you think that emotions like that, it's like the very essence of witchcraft, right? The emotion-based situation. Witchcraft is psychic energy. When Cade dies, he was angry, he was hurt, he was betrayed, right? And he died, right? And then witchcraft, that psychic energy, that anger, right? That anger, you feel me, manifested itself inside of like these what to be assumed as witches that comes later in the series, right? So that's why I feel like the emotions ties into it. I have something else I want to say about emotions, but the emotions, the vampire stuff. So like, watch this, right? In this universe, right? If you're a vampire and you're young, right? But you're more pissed off than the older vampire. Now, mind you, no matter how logical you want to try to be, like, oh my gosh, you're 1,000 years old, or 200, 300. Say if somebody's like 2 days old, right? 19 days old, a year old, right? Versus like a 200-year-old vampire, or a 200-year-old vampire versus a 1,000-year-old vampire. For the briefest of moments, if that younger vampire is more pissed off than that older vampire, than that 1,000-year-old vampire, they can overpower them a little bit for at least 2 seconds. Gang, I swear to God, for at least 2 seconds. At least 2 seconds. 2.5, 2 point. You dig me? Like, genuinely. They could, Like if you like the whole Elena and Cole and Jeremy situation, Elena was like this, giving him straight gas. What? You feel me with the with a chef knife, like what you done with the chef knife? But yeah, when it comes to the whole Damon and Cole situation, he was like, had him on the wall for like maybe 2 seconds. What? Jeremy, get out of here. You dig me? Like, and to a lot of people that doesn't make sense, right? But if we're dealing with an emotion base, right? Witches are like the freaking talking about the witches are like, but yeah, like this whole situation, this whole universe, honestly, to be honest, that means like this whole universe is very emotion based. You feel me? I'm not gonna lie. When we're talking about witches, when we're talking about, but then I want to go deeper into that conversation and talk about like the limbo situation, because when Ken and Lynn and Jen and Kronos and you feel me, they cross over into this world, right? When they cross over into this world, limbo is already here. People are already like wandering lost, right? And so those people was probably sad. You feel me? They die and they just start wandering in limbo like for the rest of their life with no peace whatsoever. So that sadness, you feel me? That sadness, I feel like by accident, this sad has been around forever, right? Ken crossed over into our world 10,000 years ago. Same with Lynn and Jen and Kronos, you feel me? So 10,000 years ago, they cross over. Wham. 10,000 years ago. Wham. Okay, cool. Limbo's already there. Right? I feel like at some point, of course, we have like I feel like limbo has this anguish, right? Everybody's lost. Everybody's like scared. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm wandering with my child who died and I died. You feel me? But we're just wandering. We're walking around sad and da da da. I feel like that sadness has to go somewhere, right? We have 5,000 years ago, right? So now let's go to 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, wham, Ben gives magic to the villager. Okay, cool. 4,000 years ago, Ben gives magic to the villagers. That's nice. Now let's go to 4,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago, now 4,200 to be honest, 4,200 years ago, now Cade is the first sidekick. Someone is actually tapping into that, so to speak, the mental, you feel me? The mental capability of knowing how other people are thinking, knowing what they're thinking, seeing through their mind. You know what I mean? Seeing their thoughts, seeing their mind. There's multiple moments where Silas says how someone is feeling. You feel me? Saying how someone is feeling, right? So I feel like even that the feeling of like their emotions a little bit, right? So you're seeing through their minds and you can feel their emotions just a little bit, and just a little bit. You can by you seeing through their minds, you can feel their emotions just a little. You can feel like okay, they're scared for real. They're scared for real, gang. You feel me? I feel like all that limbo stuff. You feel me? I feel like Kate, to be honest, was the first person to like tap into that. You know what I mean? That like that level of okay. That level of anguish, that level of, I feel like it became so overwhelming and so overbearing, like the limbo, the anguish and the sorrow, the emotions of limbo and everyone in limbo, to the point where it attached itself to someone else, you feel me? And by that, it transmuted, right? This sadness transmuted, right? I gotta go deeper into this, right? Ben gives the magic to the villagers, right? Okay, cool. And as he's giving the magic to the villagers, he's giving the magic, right? And the people are getting all these different powers through stuff like that. People are becoming all these different creatures. When we go down into 4,200 years ago, I feel like that like magic or whatever, one part of it was giving the anguish of limbo to somebody and like, okay, cool. Now you get that, right? You get that anguish. You get that, okay, cool. And you get this ability to like create dimension stuff like that, cool, because we have limbo over here. Okay, cool. Mind you, limbo is like an afterlife place. But you have now you're getting the ability to create dimensions because I'm giving like this power, right? This anguishness that you get from limbo, the power that you're about to acquire from limbo, is about to get transmuted, right? And it's about to become contained inside your brain. So now, but it's transmuted, right, while it's doing that. So it's not just like the full sadness, right? It's just like, okay, you're getting all these emotions and all these thoughts and all this sadness from other people. Okay, now you're going to be able to reflect that out into your world and your reality and be like, okay, so I can see in your mind, like I can see right through your mind, gang, and yours as well, right? Because you can see, like, they tried to like pass off this sadness onto this one human being inside their brain. You feel me? This sadness and anguish. But then what it happens was it transmuted, right? When it came onto the mortal plane, it transmuted into like just being inside someone's brain and being able to see others' pain. You feel me? You're able to see others' wants and desires, and you feel me? Maybe it was like more so of a thing of like nah, I'm gonna say like not wanting to be forgotten or like sorrow and stuff like that from the people that who died on the in limbo. But then again, some of those people go to peace. But then again, that doesn't really matter anyway. But anyways, that's how I feel like. And so like when you're talking about like this whole Cade person, it's like, oh my gosh, woohoo, you feel me? I feel like all those emotions, right? And why does it transmute, right? This is what I want to say. Why does it transmute, right? Why does this energy become just stored inside of here, and then you can see other people's minds and stuff like that? Because God magic changes drastically once placed onto the mortal plane. Once placed onto the like mortal plane, gang, where humans can like, okay, now you can get this human. Da, da, da. The magic on this mortal plane is real different from the God magic. This is the pure stuff, gang. This over here is like, I don't know. I want to say Timu, but that really gonna degrade TVD. This is like this is the S tier. This is the A plus tier. This is the S tier. This is the yeah, I'll say the A plus tier because Siphonus was able to like, you feel me, siphon the god, right? And even then it overwhelmed them. It overwhelmed Lizzie so much. You dig me? So it's like, but yeah, there's a drastic difference, right? That's why like the magic on this mortal plane could never really hurt, period, a god. You feel me? Because there's a whole different ball game, gang. Like this comes from our world. It's our shit. When we're talking about Silas, right? I know. You was like, who's going to be number one? Silas. You dig me? When we're talking about Silas, we're mixing the power level, the equivalent power level of Ketsia. You dig me? And people are going to say like, oh my gosh. She said the two most powerful members of a gifted people called Travelers. Okay, it was both powerful, but it doesn't mean they're equal. Okay, if it doesn't mean they're equal, then he's more powerful. And I'm going to just leave it like that. We're talking about the over supreme leader power level of, you feel me, Silas, right? That's glazing, I ain't gonna lie. So that's why I never do it. But I'm so freaking done with Ketsia fans, like discrediting Silas. You feel me? Genuinely, I'm just over it. So I might just glaze Silas like some NPC. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, when we're talking about Silas, we're talking about the equivalent power of a Ketsia, right? There is, mind you, but Silas never is like emotional, like so like emotionally distraught to the where he's gonna like ever tap into the blue stuff. He can, you feel me, if you want to, you feel me, if you really want to get in there. We've seen him use red flames, right? He's not like tapping, like, so there's this witch stuff, okay, cool, there's the wall, and then there's the blue flames, right? Silas is never angry enough, you feel me? It's never angry enough, it's never vengeful enough in the series ever to tap into this blue flame, ever. You dig me? There's never a point, even when he's talking to Kessie in season 5 episode 7, he's vibing out. He's like this. Have you seen Amara? Da, da, da. Like it's never too serious for him. You dig me? So he's never actually truly angry. He's just, when Amara dies, right? When he think Amara dies, right? And like 2,000 years ago, by that point, he's a sidekick. You dig me? When we're talking about the Hunter's Curse and him like talking about something, you think you can betray me, man? You think I got what is the Hunter's Curse in minutes, right? All that he's a psychic, right? When we get back to Witch Silas here, he's never angry enough to, you dig me, tap into that blue flame. Anyways, oh yeah, he's also like, so he has the equivalent power of a Ketsia, right? He has the equivalent power of a Ketsia. Boom. But he also is crafty. He's also very crafty. And he also have like dark inclinations, right? So, oh my gosh, he woke up one day and was like, I want immortality. And then he got immortality. You know what I mean? Cassia would have been just fine and dandy with not having immortality. She would have been just fine. She would have been like, okay, we could just love each other and then die. Do you know what I mean? She was like, let's live a nice, human, and beautiful life together, Silas, right? Anyways, right? Silas had this like inclination, of course, because of Amar and stuff like that. But it's like, he had this like, he just randomly wanted, like, not even just randomly, but he's like, he was a powerful witch. She was a powerful witch. And he was like, I want immortality. He just randomly, not even randomly, but he woke up one day and really went after immortality, gang. Think about that. Think about that, bro. Think about that. Like, and not just like for 2 seconds, but genuinely think about it. He said there's been many a powerful witch, is what I'm trying to say. But he was like, but then really think about this also. You feel me? Even before the whole Silas and Kessia situation, a lot of people, even 2,000 years later, was praising. Silas was in a tomb, and Silas had followers, gang. He had followers alive in the 1400s. Followers alive in what, maybe like the 1900s, 1800s, You feel me? Like he had a lot of 1,400. Yeah, he had followers. He had a lot of followers. You dig me? Cole made a lot of followers, gang. But it's fine, right? Let's talk about. I said a lot of followers. I like to be very specific because people who don't agree with you are gonna be like, Cole didn't actually meet a lot of followers. He met like some followers. You feel me? We ran with us in the 14th century, and in the 17th century, and the 19th century, and da 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 da. You feel me? But it's like, and in the 12th century, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, but yeah, that's why I have to be very specific in this fan. We have to be very specific about everything you say, and it has to be very concise, very down to the wording, because they're looking for any measure of incorrectness. To be honest, when I watch these videos again, not saying anything incorrect, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get a slew. I'm about to get a slew of comments about bullcrap. All right, Silas. So think about this, right? I'm gonna classify this, right? Cassie is a technical genius, right? She knows everything there is to know about witchcraft. Okay, cool. Now she has the power to act on it, right? She has the immense power to act on it as well, right? Okay, cool. That's two things, right? Now think about this. Silas is a technical genius as well. That's one. Silas has the immense and equal power to act on it. That's two. Silas is also crafty and evil. He's crafty. That's three. He's evil. That's four. You feel me? 4 and 3, you feel me? It's going to get him to his destination way faster and way easier than a Ketsia. Because Ketsia, although I said she was a technical genius, I thought I said she had an insurmountable, but I think insurmountable is crazy. Also, I thought I said she has an immense power, right? I mean, top of the line, right? You feel me? Just like Silas. These two things, right? She's also very emotional. And it's not like, I'm not saying like this is, I feel like when I say emotional, I feel like when any man says the word emotional, people think like, oh my gosh, okay, clearly that's just misogynistic. Guys, come on, clearly. You feel me? But no, when I say emotional, I mean like, she's like, there's this moment where Silas and Ketsia are basically in like the Salvatore by the fireplace. And she's talking crap about him. She's throwing stuff at him the entire time. And the moment he says anything back to her, mind you, the moment he says anything negative back to her, mind you, he was like, so where's Amara? Oh, okay, cool, da da da. Like, why can't you just let it go? Da da da. The moment he says anything negative back to her, her tears, like her eyes starts watering, and she throws stuff up again. She throws something again, wham, right? And she just becomes like all that intellect gets like blinded by like the hatred and blinded by the this. You feel me? Meanwhile, Silas keeps a cool head. You dig me? Silas is just chilling in every interaction pretty much. And so she's like emotional, right? She has amazing power, right? Truly. But she's emotional, so it's gonna be like, okay, you're not evil, you're just emotional. You feel me? And then like the fourth one would be like, she doesn't really want to go through with what she's talking about. You feel me? Right after she gets mollywopped by Silas inside of like by the fireplace, she just wants to die. She doesn't want to complete the transfer anchor spell. She doesn't want to do this or do that. She just wants to die. Literally, that's her entire bip right after losing to Silas in a witch fight. You feel me? She doesn't have she doesn't really want to, you dig me, complete a mission. You didn't mean really go like that. Silas, he was like, he owned that the entire time. So crafty and evil, amazing amount of power, technical genius when it comes to magic. Technical genius, amazing amount of power, emotional, and doesn't really have the resolute to really get the job done, you know? She was forced to complete the transfer anchor spell. I want that to be very known here. But that's just like that's just one list, right? That's just one list, right? I'm going to go to the second one, and I'm not going to explain the second list, but I'm going to go to the second list. The first list was like, that was my favorite to my least favorite, right? Oh, by the way, I was going to mention, like, Kai Parker should have been in this list, bro. Let me see something really quickly. Right under Dahlia, I'm going to put Kai Parker. Kai Parker. There we go. Yeah, put Kai Parker. So now the list becomes, mind you, this like favorites list to like least favorite list, right? It becomes Silas, Ketsia, Anadu, Marcos, Dahlia, Kai Parker, Wendy, Maddox, Ariane, Ariana, not Ariana. Ariana, you feel me? Alyssa Chang, and Freya. From 1 to 11, right? My 12th one will be Bonnie, right? In that list. But Kai Parker's like, he was a siphoner, right? Turned like vampire, witch heretic, right? So That's why I was like, we're talking witches. I don't know if we're gonna put them in there, but okay. Now let's talk about. Let's get to business, right? Let's get to like real deal business here. This is like my favorite. This is not my favorite list. This is my like okay top 10 witches. Period. Gang, you dig me? Like 10 to 1, 1 to 10, whatever the heck. So Kai needs to be higher. Kai needs to be higher. So at 10 we have Kai needs to be higher, gang. Kai needs to be higher. Kai needs to be higher. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, at 10 we have I'm not rocking with that, I ain't gonna lie. Let me see. I'm not let me see. Alright, that's what I'm rocking with. That's what I'm rocking with. Alright. That's what I'm rocking with. But even then, right? But even then, wait for a second. But then again, y'all go oh my gosh. Okay, let me put you right here. Alright, this is the list that I like. But then again, it's like she's not even on this joint. Wait for a second. All right. Now we're good. Now we're good. Like this list right here, this one that's like just resolute, right? You feel me? Like it's very weird because we can go by like the show's logic of like, oh my gosh. So this is the feat. This is the person. This is the da da da. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like I'm about to tell you guys the list, right? At number 10, I got Maddox. I know. I know. The list is gonna be so different for a lot of people because everyone has a different outlook on like who was the strongest. Da 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 da. Who's top 10 witches of all time? Da da. People could be even at somebody's 10. They could put Eva Sinclair or Vincent or something, right? And I love Eva Sinclair to death. But for number 10, I'm gonna put Maddox just because his quick-minded nature to protect Klaus. You feel me? Like he immediately went to a protection spell. He didn't like halt. He ain't stopped nothing. You feel me? He went dead to okay. Let me protect this person. When we're talking about Bonnie, Bon number 9. You feel me? Bon number 9, always cooking up, very experienced witch, really in the mud, really in the mud, really in the field. You feel me? We're talking about number 8. Right, Freya. Right, like I said, utilize her powers to the highest degree, of which could to the highest degree to it. Use her powers like really use her powers like a lot, even when unnecessary. When I talk about 7, right? Well, let's talk about Kai. Right, Kai when he became a heretic, he was doing all type of stuff, really experiments and really okay, you're a werewolf, okay, healed himself right then and there. What other witch would have healed themselves? Really peep it. What other witch would have really healed themselves? I was just playing. But then again, wait for a second. He was a heretic, so of course he would be like, he would have the natural inclination to be like, okay, maybe. So I mean, he would get bit by a werewolf, and they would like be like, okay, he's about to die. But then he would have to like at least try to siphon it, right? So I don't know if that should be like a point doxed. I'm just playing. But yeah. 6 we got Esther. 6 we got Esther. You feel me? She created like this phony Timu version of vampires, right? Of like, well, she created vampires, right? She created this freaking Timu version of the immortality spell. We have 5. Dai created the Timu version of immortality. But she was also really crafty. You feel me? I respect that a lot. She was also really, really crafty. She utilized her witchness to the optimized potential. I will never forget that moment, gang. White oak steak, wham, put it in the air, blew it, bam. You feel me? Made the kids inhale it. You know what I mean? It was tough. When we're talking about Marcos, that's my dog. A lot of people don't even mention Marcos, period. They don't even know who Marcos is, but that's really my dog. You feel me? Like, he's shown to have, like, almost 0 feats aside from, like, some other stuff. He created the doppelganger proximity spell, gang. He died after it, but he created that John. So the reason that, you feel me, in 1992, okay, Elena's born in Mystic Falls. Stefan, 1994, pulled back up to Mystic Falls. You feel me? Stefan comes back, right? Stefan's like, oh my gosh, I gotta see what she's about, right? The whole proximity of it all, right? You feel me? I think Tom was in Atlanta, Stefan was in Mystic Falls, and Elena was in Mystic Falls. Well, Elena was in like Whitmore or something like that. But I don't know, bro. It's just like, he's tough, bro. You just have to look. You just have to get really deep into the lore, man. Do your research. I'm not gonna do your research for you. 3 is Inadu. Tough origin story. Tough power, like immense power and hard to kill. Bow. Hello. You feel me? And she using brute force. She's tough. I think she actually killed Elijah, or like at least his body. Freya put it inside of a pendant, and there we go. When we're talking about number 2, Ketsia. Wham, technical genius. She knows her stuff. To me, and I would say this forever, and I'll die on this hill, Ketsia has taken out every witch known to man outside of Silas. Stamped. You feel me? But then again, we can also say gods utilize witch power. So I can't even say the gods, gang. So take out the gods, right? And take out optimized witch sidekick Bonnie, right? Take her out as well, and then you got Ketsia whooping everybody ass. You feel me? Outside of Silas, but I know that hurts a lot of people when I say outside of Silas, but it's the truth. But Bonnie, like, you feel me? Regular Bonbon, she's getting cooked up. I ain't gonna lie. Like, not immortal. Well, then again, Bonnie right now, you feel me? If she learned to like use her mind control from her psychic part of her, it's over with. She getting them straight gas. I'm not gonna lie to you. She giving them straight gas. She giving Ketsia straight gas just off the compulsion alone. Ketsia not gonna be able to do nothing about that. So let's say Silas, Bonnie, right now even. You feel me? But then again, she doesn't have doppelgangers. You feel me? So yeah, Ketsia is cooked. You feel me? Silas, Bonnie, and all the guys. You feel me? The demigod person don't matter. Ben doesn't matter because he can't even wield magic, so it doesn't even matter. But yeah, when we're talking about Silas, technical genius, crafty, and have evil inclinations. He's genuinely an evil person, but with the power of Ketsia. And he's crafty as hell. You dig me? He's the male version of Catherine if Catherine had the power of Ketsia. Like, it actually, it gets crazy, gang. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. To be honest, Silas is older than Catherine, so I believe Catherine is like the male version of him. You feel me? But a vampire. Whatever, though. Gang, whatever. That's mind you, that list right there that I just ran off to you. That's my actual top 10 strongest to least strongest. Wait for a second. Oh no, that's my TVD witch rankings. Like, you feel me? That's not like, oh my, yeah, because Hope's not on there. You feel me? That's not like, that's just my TVD witch rankings, I guess. I don't know. As far as like, I never put Hope in there, gang. Mind you, she's tough, but I never put her in there. Gosh, this is so fun. What type of list is that, though? My first list was like my favorites, you feel me, to least favorites. And then this list is more so, okay, this is like my bip, you feel me? This is my John. It goes from like powerful to like least powerful, but I never put Hope in there. So let me see something really quickly. Marcos, Dahlia, Hope, Esther. Marcos, Hope, Dahlia. I don't even know where to put Hope, gang. I ain't gonna lie, and I ain't gonna try to either. But yeah, that's the video. So basically, canonically right now, in this list, you feel me? We got Kai and Maddox over. But yeah, those are my just witch rankings. If you like this video of me yapping about TVD, drop your own witch. No. Y'all gonna drop a witch rankings and y'all gonna put Hope at the top. Or Ketsia. You feel me? I love me some Ketsia too, but no. I could, no, stop. You feel me? If you put Ketsia, I'm blocking you. If you put Hope, I'm blocking you. If you put Bonnie because she has the most potential capacity for being a witch and a psychic, I might let you slide. And I don't even like Bonnie. I hate Bonnie. You feel me? But I might let you slide. But if you put Ketsia or Hope, I'm blocking you. Anybody else? If you put Esther, you're ridiculous. If you put Dahlia, that's dick riding. If you put Anadu, you tough. That's tough. But that's tough. But that's tough. You feel me? That's a tough choice. Bye. You feel me? And I was serious about blocking you. But bye. Like the video, subscribe, turn on post notification bells if you want to see more talking head videos. This video won't be out immediately because I want to edit this video. That's going to be fun. Okay, I'm out of here.